High road roaring every night. Spotlight on Spurs, feel the fight. Spotlight on Spurs, hearts ablaze through the cheers and cloudy days. From the lane to glory's flight. Spotlight on Spurs, shine so bright. Echoes rise when we take the field. This is passion, nothing concealed. Through the tackles, joy ignites. Spotlight on Spurs, burning lights. Feel the tempo, sweet and wild. London's warriors never mild. Every challenge we endure. Spotlight on Spurs, loud and pure.
What's up, guys? Luke here from Spotlight on Spurs. We have a second episode taking place in a week. We thought we'd change things up with a January transfer window because of all the signings we needed and all the signings we'd be making. So we nearly cancelled today's pod, but we're going to go ahead with it anyway because there's plenty to talk about. Obviously, we've just come off the back of the loss to Villa, which means we're out of half the tournaments that we started the season in. We are going to go into that and a little bit more. But first of all, let's introduce the co-host, the guy that's always here, Mr. Reliable. Chris, how are we doing, my man?
Evening, Luke. Evening, Lubo, and everyone in the chat. Hope everyone's doing as well as you can be after yesterday's performance. And just, I think as the whole club is just in an absolute shambles at the minute. So looking forward to trying to get some of that out on here and talk about it and hopefully have a therapy session.
100%. We're going to try and make sense of Spurs. So we've scheduled to be on for about an hour. We could be here for 17 days, just getting to the, just getting through the very top of the issues that we've got. Welcoming back on the channel, Mr. Lubo. How are we doing, my man?
Yeah, all good tonight, thanks. All good. Another weekend.
Good.
More drama.
Yeah. But as best as can be without Spurs. I feel like that's been every single conversation that any Spurs fans had recently. It's almost like, how are you away from Spurs? Because we all know how you are with Spurs. So how are you away from Spurs?
You know, just try and enjoy life. Less stressful when Spurs aren't playing.
Oh, 100% for sure. It definitely is. Guys, we might as well start on the game yesterday. It was quite interesting, I think, because there was a little bit of a split in the fan base. There are a lot of people that have said that actually the Villa game, the second half was a really good performance, and actually we should be using that as a sort of springboard going into the season. There are others saying that actually Villa just allowed us to dominate because they were comfortable in their 2-0 being 2-0 up in the scoreline, and they felt they would get over the line. But Chris, I know you, for personal reasons, you couldn't actually see the whole of the game, but from what you see, was there any positives in that game for you? What was your sort of feelings? And obviously, to some at the end, of course, sort of being out the FA Cup now is quite a damning thing for Spurs. But what was your thoughts on the game as a whole?
Yeah, I caught the second half. I was out for the first half, so I managed to quickly jump in and put the second half on. I think we looked pretty much okay, and then we scored the goal, and it seemed like there was a momentum shift to us, and we wanted to really try and kick on and try and go for it. But I think it's a bit of both, as you mentioned. I think Villa went 2-0 up and thought, this sort of go into cruise control here and probably a bit of game management, play a bit more defensive and just try and see the game out. But yeah, not the substitutions were a bit. It was like he was just trying anything with not much on the bench, if I'm honest. But I think it's just maybe a bit too little, too late at the end, trying to push it all on. But yeah, I think it's just a typical Spurs performance.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, the first half you literally missed nothing. You could have
I've heard it was absolutely shocking the first half, and I've not missed anything at all, which is good.
Yeah, as I say, second half was definitely an improvement. So you done well there. I'm sure there's many Spurs fans out there that wish they only see the second half as well. Lumo, Was you there yesterday? Was you there at the game?
Yeah, I was there. Yeah.
What was it like? What was it like being in the ground?
I just think the first half we just never got started. Don't understand. This was the last. I say I'm not sure realistic is the word, because I couldn't see us as realistic challengers to win a trophy this season. But if you're in it, you're in it. You can. While you're in it, you've got a chance of winning. And they came out, and it was really lacklustre. They were flat. There just wasn't much going on. Villa went into. You could see the goal coming. I mean, they cut right through the midfield for the first goal. The second goal was unnecessary. Tell had the ball on the left. You're into the last minute. You've had a bad half. Get into the dressing room for half time. You're 1-0 down. The players that allegedly, so reports said, had their own team meeting. It was quite heated. They came out, second half determined. For me, Tell should have carried it down the line. Maybe got a throw in, taken the pressure off, relaxed. And then all of a sudden, you come out and you come out of the team. It's anyone's game. I don't believe Villa took their foot off the pedal. I think Spurs played well second half. I think Spurs forced them back. I did think the substitutions were strange. If you're going to go on, in effect, you had 3 centre forwards on the pitch with Scarlett and then latterly Solanke. Why take your 2 suppliers off? I didn't quite get it. Then everything was on Xavi, so everything had to come through the middle rather than having 1 or 2 wingers to put the ball in. And the problem you've got with 3 centre forwards is which ones are going to take the runs, and where are they going to run? Who's going for what ball? When you've got 3 people that have never played together before, it looked a bit of a mess towards the end, and it was. And Villa saw the game out the last 15 minutes quite comfortably. I can't split this whole thing. If we'd have come out in the first half and played like we did in the second, why didn't you? I don't understand. We just keep getting apologies from players.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just pull your finger out and get out there from the first minute and start playing the game and playing to win. Now, for me personally, I don't think the players are playing for him. I think he's lost the dressing room. I don't think there's any confidence in his methods. And for that, I think he's unlucky because he's been hit with injuries to key players. He's not had anyone really creative. You take out Madison, Kulusevski, Solanke also for his hold-up play. You've lost 3 key players. You've lost Johnson and Son's goals as well from last season. So how are they going to be replaced? Well, Palini's got 5, Mickey's got 6, Romero's got 4 of the 5, which is extra to last season because he did score 1 up to now this time last year. So we've made up 15 goals that have been lost by those players missing. But you can't rely on defenders and a DM to keep putting the ball in the back of the net. So I'm not sure where goals are coming from, to be honest. I thought the move when Morley was put through and lifted over the keeper, he was offside, but that's what he is capable of doing. But he doesn't really look interested, to be honest. I don't get it. You would have thought it's World Cup year. He would have, unless he's been guaranteed a space in the World Cup squad. I would have thought he would have been going flat out. He doesn't seem to be. I think the whole thing's a mess. And there doesn't seem to be any leadership at the club. And we're on the slide. We had 14 points from the first 7 games, and we've got 13 points from the last 14, which is poor. So for me, we're on a slide. 3 wins in the last 14 league games. It's been poor. I don't know where we go, to be honest. I personally, as much as I feel Frank is unlucky, and I would have liked to have seen him with a full strength team, the players don't seem to be playing for him, and that means one thing. So whether it's next week after West Ham, I don't know. I can't see him getting rid of him before the end of Jan, before the end of the Champions League group stages. I just don't see it. It's not working at the moment. For whatever reason, it's not working.
Do you think he's a catastrophic result away from being the sack? Is it going to have to be like a big defeat where,
No.
like, let's say, no?
No, I don't think so. I don't see Spurs getting smashed to bits in any game.
That's what I was going to say. Is that a worry? Like, if we go and lose 3-4-0, is that the sort of result where you go, actually, maybe that's time for him to go? But are we capable? I suppose we are capable, but does it look like Spurs would go and lose to that sort of scoreline in your eyes?
Well, we've lost at Arsenal 4-1 and Forest 3-0. I think they're the only 3-goal defeats we've had in the league this season. I don't see us getting hammered too many times. That's right. That's a fair comment. We can't put together a full 90. I think the squad he's got is poor. I think he's inherited the worst squad that we've had for 25 years, to be honest. So everything's against him. But to me, you know, we read in all the Twitter groups, WhatsApp groups, and on YouTube. There's plenty of Andrew Frank going on, but we've missed the whole point that the mess is far bigger than Andrew Frank. Andrew Frank shouldn't be, as managers, shouldn't be anywhere near this club, either of them. You know, you look at the managers that we've had through the years, and these guys don't hold a candle to any of them. And I think that the mess is from the top. If we don't get that sorted, then whoever it is you bring in, doesn't matter who. You know, we wanted Harry, he wasn't backed. When he wanted Tevez and Cahill, he got Saha and Nelson. When Poch was leaving the lane, he was told there was no money because of the ground, but anything he got would be given back to him to buy on players. We didn't sell any players because the prices, I think, were too high. You brought in ready-made winners in Conte and Jose. They weren't backed. So we've covered it. You know, you had strange situations, strange managers brought in with styles that weren't compatible with Spurs, like Nuno and Frank.
Yep.
Pochettino was just kamikaze.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the players in the end changed the tactics and won the Europa League. But what has been built is not sustainable. You know what? Whatever that Europa League success was built on quicksand, and we're seeing the results here. You know, to take out a few creative players, and we're lacking. And what bothers me more, people talk about tactics. Yes, you can talk about tactics, but ultimately it's down to players. And players should be able to make 10-yard passes, and they're not. We're giving the ball away more than most other Premier League clubs, and until that improves, we're going to be up against it. You know, first half yesterday, couldn't hold on to the ball.
Mm-hmm.
We've
got no one in there that control a game. Like, not forget about control of football. There's no one in there that can control a game at all in any way. Like, the amount of times we've been beaten by teams where we've been dominated in midfield, and you can go back to the three games where it kept coming up about one midfielder having more progressive passes than all of our midfielders put together. It was Xhaka, Jordan Henderson, and Walton. And all three of them midfielders, you can feel, can go and dominate a game, even if it's against lesser opposition. They can go and dominate. Whereas with whatever combination you put in, I don't feel like, from a footballing perspective, they can go and dominate. I think Polina can physically, but in terms of dominating the ball and dominating the midfield, I don't think we've got one of them midfielders, unless they come up against a real subpar midfield.
Sure, no, we don't. Unfortunately, Graham Bergvall aren't ready. Basuma and Sarr are not up to it. Bentancur's on the way down. And you're left with Paulinho, who for me should be captain. I said that the other week. I think Romero's too emotional as a player. I mean, there's no doubting that he is desperate to win every game he plays. But he's got to be calmer as a captain. He's got to show an example. And I'm not sure I'm qualified, to be honest. I'd love tell you something, I'd love to work at Spurs in a fan advisory capacity.
Yep.
But in terms of managing, no, I'd rather leave that to Mr. Pochettino next season. I'd rather get him back with Paul Mitchell. Get him locked up. Start speaking to him about what players he wants for next season. Win the games against West Ham and Burnley. That'll definitely secure us against any wobbles towards towards the relegation zone for the last 15 games. And then start building for next season.
Yeah, I have to agree. Russell's come in asking if you've ever met Ralph Coates.
I've never met him.
He did, and he thought he was Bobby Charlton.
I never met him. I was 6 years old and I went to a school party for Tony Markey's kid. Tony Markey was like the 12th man in the double team, and I had friends whose father was in business with Dave Mackay, funny enough, with a tie shop in Seven Sisters Road. And when I had my 21st, the boys who came said to me, Ian, we brought a friend with us. Can he come in? I said, well, just ask him in. He said, no, he wants you to ask him in. So I went to the front door and Alan Gilzine was there. So I said, yeah, come in, Gilly. And Gilly enjoyed my 21st together. And I've met various players through the years. I've never met Ralph Coates, although I was at Wembley for his winner in '73 against Norwich in the league.
There we go, Russell. Not as fortunate as you to meet, but definitely been in his presence when scoring a goal, which is perfect. Andrew Kiddle didn't watch the game yesterday as I was working, but was told by a few friends that Zhao and Xavi had their best games in a Spurs shirt. I think the problem is, again, and the guys have already mentioned it, it's the inconsistency, right? They probably did have their best games in a Spurs shirt. However, it wasn't over a full 90 minutes.
I think Xavi had a good 45 minutes. I think the first 45. I was sat with Johnny yesterday. We were watching it, and they dropped Gray in. Gray dropped in between Danson van der Ven, and he was picking up the ball, and they were expecting him to start knocking it around. And it was like we were both saying, "Where's Xavi?" He's sat on Richarlison's shoulder for the whole of the first half. When Villa broke, it was the three of them against Pellegrini and Gray. And they just walked through 3-on-2 every time. And their movement and the passing and the speed of passing was so good that Pellegrini and Gray couldn't get near them. But, you're a man down. And where was Xavi? Xavi went missing. Xavi he just vanished first half.
Yeah.
So, and that's the problem. That was one of the problems. You look at it and it shouldn't be on a 19-year-old kid to start spraying the ball around and find and be in the creative spot when you got Xavi Simons there. He pulled his finger out second half. I'm sure one of the guys probably gave him an absolute bollocking at half time, one of the players, and said, "Where have you been?" He vanished. It wasn't even, didn't even know he was on the pitch.
I think the problem that we've got, especially for these attacking players, is that it's about getting the ball to them and getting the ball to feet and in good areas. Like I've said, Xavi Simons is. But
look, you've got to work. When you haven't got the ball, you've got to work as a team to get it back.
Yeah.
Well, we don't. That's not part of our tactics, right? When we press and we press well, we do it okay. Like we're actually pretty decent at it. Second half is a prime example. But for me, as you said when you first started, it didn't even feel like we got going anyone. It felt like everyone was kind of just ready to just get beat. Basically, it's like we're turning up thinking, if we can nick something here, great, but we're probably going to get beat today, which is just the wrong attitude to have, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, and when you're 2-0 down, you've got nothing to lose. Anybody can, right, we'll take the handbrake off, let's just go.
Yes.
They should have gone from the first minute. That was, we should have gone in at least level pegging at half time and come straight out and go and get the goals or even one just to win a game. But we gave away two ridiculous goals. That was crazy.
Yeah, 100%. It was a poor mistake by Tell. I'm a big fan of Tell. I think that if we can get an experienced left winger in, I think he's a sort of player that will really learn. I think he's got a great mentality, a great attitude, makes mistakes like any 19-year-old does. Go and look at all of the top signings that have been made over the last couple of years. specifically sort of that wing sort of position. Semenyo, prime example, he was nowhere near the Premier League at 19. So players develop at different stages and everything else. But Chris, as I say, I know you didn't watch the first half, but there's no fan that I've seen have said that was anywhere near acceptable. From anywhere that I've seen it, whether that be X, whether that be on YouTube, everyone said it was really, really poor. So there was booing at halftime, which I think everybody expected, especially after the display that the fans were served up. However, from the second half display, there was a bit of intent. There was a bit of pressing. There was a bit of they were attacking. Obviously, there was a few goals that we did score that were later ruled offside, correctly so. But there seemed to be a little bit of fight and a bit of passion, and there was boos in that second half as well when the final whistle went. Would you say that was a fair assessment of the second half, or do you think that was just pure frustration? That it was just yet another loss at home, and obviously us going out the FA Cup?
Yeah, I think we've said it every time we've been on it. We've said it. If the players showed the intent, the passion, and the fight to at least give everything and leave it on the pitch, the fans will see that and they will give you the recognition that you deserve, because that should be the bare minimum. No one should ever step on a football pitch or any sporting pitch for that terms and not give you 100%. You should be there to give you 100%, because I mean they're getting a good wage as well, but it should be about pride and respect. You should want to play. So when you've got, I don't think it was a full packed out stadium from what I heard, and I think at half time it was probably less. It was even emptier. I think there was people leaving from what I heard on the radio, from sort of 20 to 30 minutes, people were starting to pour out. But it shows that the fans are not just booing them constantly, and they will give you the applause that you need to try and give you that boost when you're going to prove it. But if you're not going to show it, then you don't deserve to get that reaction from the fans, because again, the fans are the ones that are turning up. They're paying, putting their time and effort in to go into these games to watch it, and it's not being reciprocated by the players. The thing that keeps getting me as well is that after every game, you talk that the players know it's not good enough, and they keep coming out in interviews and saying, we know it wasn't good enough, it wasn't good enough. And then you've got Thomas Frank coming out and saying there's positives. After all these games now, surely these positives can be picked up on and the negatives can be worked on to try and get us to find the positives and bring the positives in. But every game, it just seems to be the same press conferences, the same responses, and it's just too generic for me now. It's just getting to the point where I'm like, we know what he's going to say after every game, whether we win 5-0 or we lose 2-1. It's going to be the same thing over and over again. And I know that it all kicked off after the game. I see the tear up and stuff afterwards. Well, yeah. What looked like a tear up, but it was more just thingy. But again, it shows that Polinia is frustrated, and rightly so. He doesn't want to lose. No one wants to lose a game. So I don't mind seeing that passion, because it shows that they do care. It shows that they are there for the club. They do want to play. They do want to win. And whatever is going wrong, individual mistakes on the pitch, people not focusing, the manager's tactics, the manager's lost the changing room, whatever that may be, it needs to be picked up and it needs to be changed.
Yeah, completely agree. Before I go to Lubo, the reason why there's so many people talking about Gallagher in the chat, and Andrew Kiddle has put it in as well, saying a bid for Gallagher is imminent. Matt Maltby, who is the head of football for London at football.london and Mirror Football, has tweeted to say Tottenham have stepped up their interest to sign former Chelsea star Conor Gallagher in the January window. Aston Villa are also keen and have a permanent offer on the table for the Atletico Madrid midfielder. Lubo, I'll come to you just on that. What was your thoughts, obviously being in the stadium, about that halftime boos and the full-time boos? As I say, the halftime one was completely understandable. The full-time one, I was a little bit surprised about, but I can understand what they came in for. What was your thoughts on it as a whole? And then obviously we'll discuss Gallagher in a little while.
I just think fans are frustrated, to be honest. I think you're starting to see lack of interest. The interest by the fans, by home fans, is waning. You had an attendance of just over 57,700, and 9,000 of those were Villa. So you still had 4,000 spare tickets at the grounds, and we only had 48,000 Spurs fans, whereas normally with a 61,000 crowd you've got 58,000. So that shows, and you're talking about, was it £30 for £30 a ticket for adults, and was it a tenner for kids?
Mm-hmm.
Still couldn't sell out. So for me, people are starting to vote with their feet.
Do you think that is a big factor on Frank's position? Do you think that if the numbers are, I mean, let's go to an extreme. Let's say that Spurs start getting 30,000, 35,000 at the games. Do you think that is a big enough intent from the fans to say we're not having it? And do you think that would push the directors, or do you think that basically Frank will be here until the directors decide, not when the fans decide?
Well, the next 5, you've got 5 home games, and then you've got games that aren't quite as attractive for the rest of the season. So you've got West Ham and Dortmund, and then in February you've got City, Newcastle and Arsenal.
Mm-hmm.
If it goes pear-shaped in the next 5 weeks, then you look at the home games that are left, people just aren't, the crowds will drop off dramatically. They'll drop off dramatically. I think we've probably done enough to get into a playoff spot in the Champions League. Don't see them beating, in current form, don't see them beating Dortmund and Frankfurt to get the 6 points that they probably need to qualify in the top 8. So you're going to have a playoff in between Newcastle and Arsenal, and then the other side of Arsenal. I mean, the season could well be finished. You know, if the league form doesn't pick up, end of January, And the other thing is to the comment just through was, if they're not sure on Frank, are they going to give him the money? So that's another question. So I just think the whole thing is a mess at the moment. I just see the whole thing sort of going pear-shaped. I don't see us getting relegated. I think we've probably got enough points. I think Burnley and West Ham will struggle to get up to 30 points this season. I mean, having said that, West Ham bought 2 new strikers. One got the winner against QPR. They needed extra time to beat QPR, so West Ham still aren't firing. Next week's crucial. We've got to win that to take the pressure off. If we lose that, then it's going to get toxic.
Yep, completely agree. And for anyone that hasn't seen it, it's been flying around all of the WhatsApp groups and from Spurs YouTube. Marcus Buckland, who is a sports presenter, worked across all different places, BT, Sky Sport, that sort of thing. Also hosts a podcast as well with respective journalists, one being George Sessions. But he has about 4 or 5 of them. It's called The Tottenham Way. He's put out a tweet a couple of hours ago saying, from a very trustworthy source tells me Spurs are in total disarray behind the scenes, still run by business-minded people, clueless when it comes to footballing decisions. Probably no surprise just how he's basically saying there's probably no surprise that people think that, because that's kind of been the consensus from the outside anyway. But from the information that he's been told, it is staggering. So this is a man that's worked around the media industry for a long period of time, probably has some reasonable connections and often does speak to journalists. So for that to come out, as I said, probably not much of a surprise really to Spurs fans, Chris, but there's quite a lot at this moment in time that we've gone through a complete reorg. Effectively, everyone at the club has been replaced in some capacity in the last 6 months, and we look in complete disarray still. Now, do we need to have a complete another rebuild or what? What do you think, mate?
I think it all comes down to when I think they knew they were sacking Ange, whether we won the cup or not. They knew it was going to happen. So that process is obviously in the background. They're looking at candidates, right? So when they've picked Frank and he's been appointed and he's in, bringing out a statement from the board to say, we want to push on from last season. We want to kick on and try and win more trophies. Obviously, it's not in them words, but it was basically the point they was trying to say. I think if they come out at the start of the season and say, look, last season was brilliant. We won a cup, but obviously performances wasn't great. League position wasn't great. We need to do better. And they don't release that statement, and they say we've now got a manager, we've got a way forward. Be patient. We are trying to build something. I think the fans may still be in the same situation where we turn around and we say, like, this is just not good enough. But at the same time, it might buy everyone a bit. It might give everyone a bit more leeway and a bit more time, because we understand that the statements coming from the club is we're building. We're trying to do something different here. We're trying to change the way everything's changing. But I think with the statement that they sent out, I think that doesn't help the situation now where it's not been good. We're not playing well. I mean, this is between us and fifth. There's 6 points. If we played half decent in 2 or 3 games, like, obviously it's hindsight, but you could jump. Like, we're not a million miles away from still getting into the top 6 if we wanted to. It's just, I don't know. It feels like there's a lot that's been done, and people keep going back to the board and what they've not done and how they've said things. I don't think that's helped Thomas Frank and the players out either, because it's just made the fan base turn around and go, well, hang on a minute, we've been promised something here. You've told us this, and you've not backed it up, and you've not delivered.
Yeah. We was gonna kind of go into that. Obviously, one of the big things that the whole point of sacking Ange, one of the main statements was sort of because we're going to compete and we should be competing across multiple competitions, something that we've never done. When we've won something, we've never really competed across multiple competitions, to be honest with you. There's an argument to say that actually last year we got to the semi-finals of the League Cup, so could you argue that actually we competed better across more competitions last year? But that was the promise that was made. But Lubo, the facts is that they've not delivered, regardless whether you're a Frank in, a Frank out, or a whatever. That this squad isn't good enough to be competing on multiple fronts, right? Every manager is going to have to make a decision, regardless of what competition it is. They're going to have to take one competition with just not seriously at all, because there's no squad here to be able to build to go and win multiple trophies or even challenge. Don't you think?
Yeah, one of the DOFs said to a friend of mine on the flight to Monaco that the club aren't geared up at the moment to compete in 4 competitions. So, everybody knows that. We can all see that. The squad. Listen, the first team's not completed, is it? So, if your first team's not up to speed, then obviously your squad's going to be even less so. So we're not going to be competing this season for any trophies. And the squad's not good enough. It's really not good enough.
Saba thinks that if we lose to West Ham, it could be the end.
It may
what
be.
do you guys think about that?
He could be right. Do I think they'd sack him 3 days before a Champions League game? Probably not. Unless they spend this week lining up a replacement, which is possible. But I'm reading reports on social media that half the board are for him and half the board are against him. And if Vinay and Frank are, if Vinay and Lange are Frank supporters, then at the moment he's staying. So
I've just checked West Ham's results, and they've not won in the Premier League in the last 11 games. What does that remind you of?
Yeah, Bournemouth.
So it's even with that, it just doesn't fill you with any hope. You just feel like you're going to be watching another game and we're watching the same thing over again.
You're going to be watching two poor teams, and you just hope that we have those. we have more moments than they do.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, Sava's already said it a few times. He's off to watch Bromley. That's it. Up the Bromley. They're first in League Two. So I don't understand what that means. I don't know. Does that mean you win games? Does that mean you score goals? Does that? I don't know what that is. I'd rather be in complete disarray every time I watch my football club.
I've already had the chat with him. He's got a picture of Michael Cheek in his bedroom. So,
to be fair, he could probably do a job at Spurs, to be honest with you, the way that we've been playing. We've kind of touched on it just a little bit, obviously, in regards to Thomas Frank's future. I think the facts is that, and I've been saying this for ages, that unless we go and get, and there's been some people in the chat that have also said it as well, like, and I think you might have even touched on it as well, Lubo, like saying that if they don't back Frank, that they not spend in January. Are we really in a situation here where Spurs can afford to do that? Like, for me, I don't think Frank is the long-term guy. I never did from the start. However, at the moment, there are so many holes in this squad. It really makes no difference whether you are backing Frank. And I don't mean that, like, everyone talks about spending money and everything else. And I'll go back to the last 3 windows under Ange, and a hell of a lot of money was spent, but only one player was actually for that 11 to come in and improve it in Solanke. All the rest were, for me, rotation and squad players.
Yeah.
Now, we need to go and start just simply signing first team players, whether they fit Frank's system, whether they don't, whether he's the man, whether he's not. We need to fix things now, right?
Okay. You mentioned Conor Gallagher. We'll sort of come on to him. He was Poch's captain at Chelsea.
Yep.
So if you manage to beat Villa to Conor Gallagher, and who knows, maybe he'll look at it and he'll think to himself, do you know what? I'm going to get more football if I'm going to get more football playing at Spurs than Villa. Number one. Number two, family and friends are in London. That could be, I'm just sort of looking at positives as to why Gallagher might pick Spurs.
Yeah.
If he's looking for football ambition right now, then I presume he will go to Villa. But being a Spurs fan, we're hopefully, we're hoping to bring in better players to improve the team. And Gallagher would be perfect. If you brought Poch back, he was Poch's captain. Poch would be delighted to come into Spurs with Gallagher on the playing staff. So, it's not a question of buying players for that manager. I prefer it.
It's simply buying better players. It's simply buying better players than we have.
Yeah, but yes, not any old person, but a player that another manager is going to be, that is multifaceted. Not like you're buying a wing back that a manager will come in and play a back four, and all of a sudden, what's the point?
Yeah, of course. Yep.
So,
I completely agree.
So to have somebody who can fit different systems, someone who's adaptable, flexible. You saw Gallagher playing in the 8 at Chelsea. You saw him playing in the 10 at Palace. So, he's a flexible, he's an adaptable player. You can, he's versatile, I think is the right word.
Yeah.
So someone like him would be excellent to bring in. Proven Premier League, and that's what we're lacking. That would also help with the homegrown situation. And coming into the playoffs, that would help. Again, we're down to 22 players in the Champions League. That would take it up to 23. So small, but another plus.
Yep, completely agree. Saba, massive thank you, my man. Really, really appreciate it. The factor in all of that, this makes me laugh, is that everyone hates the bald Vinay Paratici Lange. Yet we trust those people to get the new manager in. The irony is there. And I literally think that is the reason why nobody is like when you speak to most people just about sacking Frank, nobody has a clear understanding of where we will go next. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if we went to a manager that plays 6 at the back or 6 up front, because nobody seems to have any clear idea about what we want, where we're going, how we're doing it, or whether we should keep these players or we should sell them, because that's been part of my worry for a very long time. Romero in the summer was a prime example. Everybody said, let's get rid of Romero. If a big comes in, let's get rid of him because we can go and get a Gay. And I was like, we're never going to get Gay. It wouldn't surprise me if we went and got, or Danso was the replacement, and I don't back us to be able to bring anybody in of sufficient quality. And I know we've already kind of touched on it a little bit. I think someone mentioned it in the chat about Johnson. We sold Johnson, and now we've got no player in. We was already short of a winger, and we sell Johnson, and now we're too short of wingers, and there's still nobody coming through the door. There's no one that's even rumoured to really be close, or we've gone to like serious intent to go and get these sorts of players. So it's just absolutely crazy. I don't think there's anyone has any backing or understanding of actually what's going on at this club, and this isn't a new thing, right? This isn't something where we're not aware of what kind of goes on. It happens all the time in every single situation we do a decision. So a lot of fans are saying getting 35 million for Johnson is a brilliant sell, and it is in its own right. But it's not if you've got no one else to come in to replace him. We've now got two wingers at the club that are fit in Odobert and Johnson. Odobert and Tell, and there's no options. And I think that's one of the reasons why Tell was brought off the weekend, because he hasn't played a lot of games. And that's part of Frank because he's not played him, and obviously, but he's not fit. He can't play 90 minutes, and then all of a sudden we're now bringing off players and playing Scarlett up front because we haven't got any more wingers. Whereas if we brought someone in, we would have someone, right? So, do you have any faith, Chris? If we was to sack Frank, do you have faith that we would get the right man in?
I don't know who we would get in. I have no idea who would be the right signing now, because you could bring in. I know Harry Redknapp said it. Whether it would actually come to fruit or not, I don't know. But he's more of a confidence manager as well. He'd come in, put his arm around a few players, get them playing. Come on, boys, you're better than this. Let's get you going, and hopefully just inject something in him. But then, if you want a more attacking, tactical manager, again, who are we going to go and get? And if we do get someone in, it's only going to be on a 6-month basis. It'll be just until the end of the season, and then again, it'll be the same people trying to figure out who they're going to come in for next. And what does that look like? Who does that even? What's the shortlist for that?
Well, that's it, right? I don't think there is an outstanding candidate. I think the one that everybody seems to be, every single show I've seen, it all reverts back to that same person in Poch.
Of course.
That's to be.
And I think Poch is the only name that comes in because it will bring the fans back to the club again, and it will that what we're all feeling now, that sort of separation. Everyone's getting fed up in the ump, and everyone's disinterested. Bringing Poch back in brings the fans back in a tight knit again, because we're all back. It's what most of the people want as well, to be fair. So that would be why Poch comes back for me, is because it'd buy the ball that they're basically giving us what we want. Whether it's the right move or not, obviously, again, you go with it. But again, it needs to be a case of he's getting a 3-year contract, and we are sticking with him no matter what. And we're going to back him. And here we go. And again, it's proving it at the end of transfer windows, because otherwise we're going to be in the same situation again and again and again. It doesn't matter what manager you bring in.
Yeah. Can I just come back to Lynn on her comment about Poch and Gallagher? One of the reasons that Poch fell out with Clearlake was because they told him they wanted to sell his captain, and he said no. And they said, "Well, we're overhauling you." That's the comment, and that was one of the reasons. I mean, Gallagher was Poch's captain, and he played most matches that season. So
it was from what the outside say, it was one of the key reasons as to why Poch ended up leaving Chelsea, was because he was so annoyed that basically players were being sold without his permission. He wanted Gallagher to stay, and if I'm not wrong, I believe he appointed Gallagher captain.
He did.
I'm sure he's the one that put Gallagher in place as captain. So, and then Sava said that he played 50 games in that season. So, I 100% agree. I think that if you bring in Gallagher, I think that is something that Poch would definitely be on board with 100%. But again, it's a good player, right? It's a good player that other good managers will be able to get something out of him. He's not a player that's very restrictive in the role that he can play, which is what I think some of our players are in terms of wing backs, for instance, struggling in a 4 at the back system, that sort of stuff. So yeah, I definitely think it would be a great thing. This is the other side of it with what Sava's saying in terms of, is it nostalgic? Would you want Poch working under Lange? I personally think that it's the end for Lange. I think that now the news has been announced about Paratici, which we was going to go into in a bit. But would you think that Poch would actually need to work under Lange, or do you think that he'll be on his way out?
I think that one of the caveats that Poch would put in front of the board that would need to be removed would be, or one of the conditions, should I say, is that he would say, I want Paul Mitchell here as director of football, end of. And that would then give them an opportunity say, right, we're clearing the decks, off you go, Lange. So, unless they liked him. Listen, if Frank's gone, then that's Lange's big ally gone as well. Just can you flip back one comment?
This one.
Cost of the chance of winning trophies at times with his team selection. Yes, Poch made mistakes. There were situations, but had he been backed at the right time with players, then the squad would have been stronger, and he'd have been more flexible with his team selection. And if you got a really strong bench, then if you need someone to come in and swing a game, then you've got the players, but it would never stretch. They saw he had a good 11 or 12 and he was doing well, and they thought, great, fine, we don't need to spend any money, let him get on with it.
100%.
So for me, I don't see Poch coming in if Lange is there, personally.
Yeah, for anyone that doesn't know, there has been an announcement today from a few journalists to say that basically Paratici will stay in his role at Spurs until the end of the January transfer window, and then he will leave. And I think the kind of feeling amongst the fan base particularly is that once he leaves, Langer had already half been demoted anyway from his role and moved into a shared role with Paratici. You would expect that they kind of decide that Langer maybe isn't the guy to be in that position. Maybe he stays involved with the club. We don't really know, but it does seem or feel from the outside that there will be someone that will be appointed to replace Fabio Paratici, either in the shared role or to take it over as a whole. But Chris, what would be your thoughts and feelings around Pochettino returning? I can see both sides. I can see why people say, like what's been said, he did cost us at times. I would also argue that if you look back at any single manager ever, there will always be points where they've made mistakes in big games. But Lubo brings up a great point, is that not only did he assemble a very good team, who may have become a good team with or without his input, we don't know, but he assembled a very good team, and he definitely didn't receive some of the backing that he should have. For sure, we should have got more. He should have got more backing. But what would your thoughts on him being the returning as a Spurs boss?
It's so yeah, I think your heart says one thing, and then your head might try and sway your heart's decision, because every Spurs fan would want him back. It's again, it is the nostalgia, it is that the comfort, it is us probably thinking and everyone's hoping that we can enjoy being Spurs fans again. He's gone on, and I know he's won things. I know again he's also I think when he went to PSG, did he lose the league in the first season? Whenever
he joined in January when they were second, and then he didn't win the league. He went point for point with, I think it was Lille who ended up winning it. He went point for point. They basically picked up the same amount of points in that season. Lille went on a very good run, but yes, if you look back through the records, he is one of the, I think they've only not won it 3 times in like 15, 18 years. But he joined mid season there.
Yeah. So me personally, I would bring him back, and as you said, but I mean, just sitting here watching all the comments, everyone's saying it's the board, and we were saying this last season as well. It's like no matter what manager comes in, although Levy has left, nothing's actually changed, because the statements being said, they're not backing the manager, and if he is staying to the end of the season, they should be giving him as whatever he needs now to get him to the end of the season. Otherwise, you just set him up to foul. So, yeah, Pochettino back would be good. But yeah, I think if the board and the upper members was to change as well with that, and there was a good setup which everyone was happy with, then I think he would probably make us all at least happy and proud again to be Spurs fans, and the stadium would be packed, I imagine, all the time, because we would play the football that we all want to see.
Yeah, there's been a couple of comments mentioning about Saturday. There is a protest taking place. We will talk a little bit about the protest just towards the end. We'll probably be wrapping up in the next 10 minutes or so. But on Thursday, we do have Billy T coming onto the channel, and he will be doing We'll do a bit of a segment just on what they're expecting to do, how things are going to operate, because there is a protest planned for Saturday. Yeah, Billy T was on Last Word on Spurs. Billy, I'm sure, and the team will be on several different podcasts over this week trying to ramp up. Some people in the chat have already said that they will be at the protest. Look at that, great time in there, Phil. Big up to you, my man. Sava will also be attending, so we'll talk about the protest just towards the end, just in the next 5 or 10 minutes. But one thing that we do have some some would say positive news, others maybe not, but we look like we're wrapping up the signing of the left back. The rumor is that he will be through the door on Monday. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on this, because I find it really, really ironic that for the first time this year, I believe, or first time this season, we've been able to have all 4 fullbacks in the squad, i.e. Spence Porro, Ben Davies, and Udogie, all in the squad this weekend. And now we're signing a fullback, which we needed for the last 6 months, because at least once each of these players have been injured. So I just find it incredibly ironic that Spurs have gone and done the one position that we needed at the moment that we probably didn't need to do it. But I'm not going to ask you how much you've seen of him, because I take it you've probably seen clips and maybe YouTube clips, but not seen him in person or anything like that. But what do you think, Lubo? And then we'll come to you, Chris, just about this signing. Do you think it just typifies exactly what's been wrong with this club for the last... You can go back however many years you want to.
It's either another waste of 12 million like Kinski was for me, or if he is that good, then it's a coup to get the kid. I do think that Davis is on his way at the end of the season. I think this is an early replacement for him in the squad. Is he good enough? I couldn't tell you. As I say, I've not seen him. I've not looked on the YouTube highlights. To be quite honest, I think we've got much more important things going on at the moment than a 19-year-old kid coming in for the future. So no, I can't actually give you an opinion on whether it's right to bring him in or not. If they've got 150 million to spend and 33 or 35 million for Johnson, you've got 185 million. 12 million is not eating into the budget particularly much. So if he's that good, fine, great. Then he's one for the future. Better we have him than Liverpool or Arsenal or City or whoever. So, but listen, we need so many players, and we're not going to get them. You know, it's going to take several windows to get this team back up. And with the uncertainty over Frank, for me, you go out and get 2 good quality, solid players that are going to improve this team. No end. You've got Solanke back now, so that's one. Udogie's back. You've pretty much got your back 4 with cover, without injury at the moment. Mm-hmm. Basuma and Sarr will be back soon. I think Bentancur's out for 6 weeks. Bergveld will be back soon. So it is literally just, you're looking at Richie's out maybe for 6 weeks, possibly with a hamstring again. But Solanke's back. You've got Moana, you've got Scarlett as a 3rd string. So we're not short at centre forward. Mm-hmm. We're just short on both wings at the moment, because Telenoda, Bear are squad players for me. They're not starters. Yeah, but he's been forced into playing them. So, the injury situation is starting to get better. I know we've lost 2 or 3 recently, but we've just got a couple back, and I think Bergveld should be back pretty soon, from what I'm being told.
Yep, completely agree. Sorry, I just want to just quickly, guys, in the chat, this is not what we're here to do. We're here to just talk football. If you keep sitting there, keep digging people out for no reason that are not mentioning anything what you're talking about, let's just leave it there, right? This is not a channel for it. If you want to go on other people's channels and do that, absolutely fine. But We don't do that here. We talk football. No one attacks anyone personally, and if they do, then they're just not a part of the channel, all right, guys? So just stop it. It's just ridiculous. This is part of the reason why the whole fan base is so fractious at this moment in time, because it's so point scoring and you can't celebrate this and you said that. Yet we all say things. You get new information that comes to you. There are certain things that happen in football where you can change your mind. Players you can say are great and then they turn out not being. And when you come on YouTube, that's there for everyone to see all of the time, and you can constantly make jibes and things like that. But that's not what we're here to do. I'm here to talk football with people that like talking football. We're all Spurs fans. Just cut out the nonsense. Otherwise, we'll just block people. It's just crazy. Sorry, Lubo. Carry on.
So no, I was just talking about the squad, and we've got the 3 keepers fit. We've got 8 defenders fit. Midfield should be stronger in the next couple of weeks, and you've got Solanke back now, who will replace Richarlison. So it's really, your left winger that we don't have an established left winger, and Kudus is out now till I don't think it is 10, Sav. I think it's 8, but I think there could be a couple back soon. So
yeah, I think it was 10 at one stage, and then Udogie has come back, but then has Bentancur not gone out at the same time? Bentancur and Bergvall have gone out. Is that the same time? Anyway, it's far more than it should be. That's for sure.
We've got a few missing.
Yeah, far too many, and it's gone on for so long now that it's a little bit crazy. But in terms of the rumours, as I say, there isn't any that are real close, any that we seem to be actually to be close on, especially in terms of the players that we need to get through the door. Sava makes a good point. Biss is back. He should be back. Probably not for. Yeah, he'll be back next game. Crazy that we could be sitting in a situation here where we're saying that getting Biss back is probably a good thing for this club. I think, like many fans at one stage, thought that was absolutely going to be the end of him at Tottenham. But as I say, the things have gone so bad that maybe he might be brought back in. Do you think
Frank gives him a chance then? Do you think Frank says that we are lower numbers and we just give him?
No, I play him. I bring him.
I don't think he's got. I don't think he's got a choice, Chris. If you look at that bench that we had no midfielders. There was no central midfielders in there whatsoever. You had Gray and Paulinho started, but that was it.
It shows that it's tough because he's obviously trying to bring his own thingies in, and I backed him with what he done with Biss. I think when you're doing things like that, you should be sort of stripped of it all, and you shouldn't be playing because you want to make a point to other players as well that nothing's going to be like anything like that's not going to be tolerated at the club. It's just that, as again, you get into these situations where you might have to use him. Does that sort of go against what Frank's trying to implement in the squad as well? Because he's got a player that he's probably doesn't want around the club anymore, but because of how it is, it's a case of we now need to use him.
Yeah,
it's
100%. I said when he dropped him, I said I was happy with that and I was content with that, and I felt that was the right decision. But exactly like what I was just saying 2 minutes ago, in terms of people can change their opinion. I now look at Basuma and go, actually, we don't have a player of that profile in our squad. And if he can come in and do a job for Tottenham Hotspur, I'm perfectly happy to be wrong on that situation and him perform well and Spurs get better. Absolutely fine. So did I agree with him when he made that decision? Yes. Do I think he should now bring him in and I go against that decision? Yes, I absolutely do. So let's see. Now, we're just going to wrap up now, guys. We are going to just move on quickly to the protests. A couple of questions have come in. So are we expecting this to be the biggest protests that we've had on Saturday? Lubo, I know you already had this question with Sean. Obviously, it's very hard to tell. There's a lot of social media. I see so many people that are all going to attend the protests and then they end up not doing it because you don't know who they are on social media. But what do you think? Do you think it's hopeful that with everything that's going on, that it will be the biggest one that we've ever had?
I'm hopeful. I also hope that Billy and whoever helps him from Change for Tottenham get out there and market it and promote it correctly. And let fans know. We'll let people know on our shows on Monday and Thursday, and I think Billy's going to pop onto our show, I think before you, Luke, as well. So, we need to get any YouTubers watching this, get him on. He needs to be on as many shows as possible this week, and whoever's helping him. Really, really important. If he just comes on 15, 20 minutes, comes on, people are asking questions in the comments, and answering panel questions as well. But the guys need to get on and promote it, because they're killing the club. They are absolutely killing the club. And as each season goes on, the bigger clubs are pulling away from us, because they're geared up for football. We're not geared up for football. You go on the website. You'll hear about, as a season ticket holder, get offers for the fine, get offers for the NFL, for the go-karting, for the concerts. I don't want to hear it. I just want the conversation to be about football. This is a football club at the end of the day, and all they're all extracurricular activities that go on in our grounds. They should all be there just to help the football side. Yeah. That's it. Finished. Don't want to hear, people talk, oh, look at the ground, look at the training ground. That's great. That's fantastic. The positive there is that it's the best turnkey operation for new owners in the Premier League. They come in, the real estate side of the business is done. Everything's built. I think they're building a hotel now. They may be contracted under the regeneration contract with Haringey Council to build some homes. But outside of that, and I'm sure that can be phased over years. But the first and foremost, they've got to concentrate, and they've got to put their energies now behind the football side, because this hasn't been done. This hasn't been done since Enix started, since they joined. It's been, we'll do just enough to keep us just about competitive, to keep the fans coming through the door, and that's where we are. And what Poch did was an absolute miracle. Every show I'm in that I talk about Poch, there are comments, oh, he's a loser, he's this, he's that. What he did at the club was an absolute miracle. When you consider, he wanted Mane, they wouldn't pay the wages. He wanted Wijnaldum, wouldn't pay the wages. He wanted Zaha, the offer was too low. And that was just when the team was A1, when players wanted to come and join. That was 2016, 2017. And that was the time to kick on from strength.
Yeah.
So and I agree with you when you say about all of the stuff in the background, the hotels, all of the infrastructure. It's all there. It's not a reason, but you can see where they were building, and that was their focus. But now, as you said, there are simply no excuses now. Everything is prepped and primed and ready for someone to either come in or for them to say, we're going to target this differently now, and we're going to go for it. And I put an X post out earlier on today about Aston Villa. There's been loads of Aston Villa accounts sort of slagging off Spurs and slagging off the players and slagging off Frank because of what happened. And I was like, I've got so much admiration for them. And we quite rightly came on every show as Spurs fans saying, actually, that 92% is dangerous. Spending 92% of what revenue you're bringing in is dangerous. But I'll tell you what it also is. It's also gambling. It's also to dare is to do. It's also going for it. It's also backing yourself. And I think that's all Spurs fans want, is them to kind of just commit and go for something. And I'm not saying go to 92%. I don't think anyone would say and justify that as a business venture. Go and do that. But at least it shows Spurs fans something, right? They're really going for this. Do you know what I mean? I think that is the difference. Spurs fans right now, in terms of this, even going back to the 19-year-old, the left back that we're just signing, Spurs fans have no belief in the system that's taking place right now. If that was any other club, they would be sitting there going, that's fine getting that 19-year-old, because I know that they're going to go and get the other two positions that they really need. Whereas with us, we think actually this might be the only signing that we make, for instance, or we might get one other in. So I think that is the big problem. So huge things do need to change. Just finishing off on the protests, guys, because we will be going, as I said, we will have Billy T on the show on Thursday. He seems that he will be going across all of the different YouTube accounts, trying to get as many people there. There was some people in the chat that was asking where it will be starting. So there it is, outside the Corner Pin pub at 2 p.m. will be when it starts. So if you can, guys, try your best to see if you can get down there and show the support that's needed. People were saying things like none of it's making any difference, but if we don't try, you don't know. So it's something. I am certainly going to try, my man. I am going to try. I have got some plans on the weekend, but I am trying to move them around. I didn't realize that it was actually taking place this weekend. But the next one, I would definitely be at if I'm not at this one. But I'll be posting it. Follow me on socials. If I do manage to make it there, I certainly will be posting that up, because if I'm able to, I will certainly go. And I encourage everyone else to do that. Before we go, we are going to go over and just have a quick discussion, just a little bit about West Ham. Guys, do you think that it's going to be a positive? Oh, no, sorry, who have we got up next? Can't even remember now.
Well, it is West Ham.
It is West Ham, isn't it? Yeah, I'm getting confused with the days because we're normally on Thursday. I'm getting right confused with the days now.
Yeah, no. We got West Ham.
West Ham up next. Chris, we'll start with you. What are your thoughts? Obviously, this is a huge one for us with the amount of group chats that we're in from YouTube.
It's the one that you don't want to lose, but it'll be typical Spurs. It's a home game as well, and we'll literally turn up and it'll be a draw or they'll beat us. But if ever, we should be beating them. They're terrible at the minute. I know we're not that great, but we should be coming out there with a result.
You got to go for a score, mate. You got to tell me a score.
I'll go 2-1 Spurs.
2-1 Spurs.
Just to be positive.
You don't even sound like you believe it, mate. To be honest with you, you believe it. Okay, good.
Solanke and Simmons.
Lubo.
2-1 sounds like a good shout.
Oh, I was surprised by that. I generally thought that we would have more and more people saying that we would lose. What is in the chat, guys? What are we anticipating the score to be? Let's see if there's a few more people that are going to go with 2-1, because I find that quite interesting. I generally thought that there would have been a little bit more people that would be thinking that actually it might be a draw or something like that. And then what was the last thing? No, I think that was everything, guys. We are going to be live, as I said, on Thursday. We'll be going live, and sorry, my internet is lagging out a little bit at the moment. We'll be going live on Thursday. We have got Billy T coming on to kind of talk to us and give some information. We will be putting through a video as well, just about sorry, I don't know why this keeps going out. We'll be putting a video out about the protests. All the information that we've already spoken about in on today's stream regarding where it is, what time it starts, whether there's a specific colour to be worn, because obviously that shows up slightly better if there's cameras around and that sort of stuff. Posting it on all socials and everything like that. So, guys, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone that's come in today. It's honestly so unbelievable, the amount of good comments that we get, the people that come in and everything else, and obviously the guests that come on the show is superb as well. So thank you to both Lubo and Chris for coming on. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much, and hopefully I will see you at the protests. Chris, obviously for you, mate, it's a little bit too far for you, I believe. Coming over from Scotland might be a little bit too much, but hey ho. Where is Sava before we start? Sava, are you actually going live, or was you messing around?
I think he was saying 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock tomorrow.
10:30 in the morning. Yeah. We'll send everyone over there. Go and smash a quick like on his video that starts in 12 hours. But yeah, guys, massive thank you. Honestly, thank you so much. It means a lot. What have we got? We've got 50 likes. That was the target that we always set. So thank you very much. Last thing from all of us, guys. Come on, you Spurs. See you all later. Bye-bye.